Hi, my name is Amy, and I work as a nurse. After another bustling day at the local hospital, a place I'm grateful has no night shifts, I finally arrived home, a bit later than usual. I'm home, I called out as I stepped through the door. Welcome back, came the cheerful reply from my daughter Janice. At only 8 years old, Janice spends many afternoons alone waiting for me to come home. It tugs at my heart, seeing her so self-reliant at such a young age, and I often feel guilty about it. Yet I know I'm lucky compared to some of my colleagues who work erratic hours in facilities with fewer family-friendly schedules. Where's your dad today? I asked her, hanging up my coat. He hasn't come home yet, she replied, a hint of sadness in her voice. It feels like I haven't seen him in forever. My husband, Jack, is a workaholic. He's rarely home, and when he is, it's almost like he's a stranger at the dinner table. On his days off, he's at his mother's house, tending her garden or having dinner with her. Meanwhile, he's missed every one of Janice's soccer games and spelling bees. A reality that's put a strain on our family. I'm sorry you're alone so often, honey, I said, feeling the weight of our situation. It's okay, Mom. You're here every day, and that's enough for me, Janice replied, trying to sound brave. I hugged her, wishing things were different, that we could be a typical family, spending time together every night. Then one day, unexpectedly, Jack came home early. The dinner table was quiet that night until, out of the blue, Jack broke the silence. Hey, why don't we go to Hawaii for the holidays? He said. I was stunned, barely able to believe my ears. After all this time, Jack was suddenly proposing a family trip. We hadn't taken a proper vacation in years. Janice was over the moon. We can go to Hawaii. I want to go. I want to go, she shouted excitedly, her happiness infectious. Reluctantly, I agreed. I had mixed feelings about it, especially when I realized that Jack had planned the trip around his mother Charlotte's birthday. Despite my reservations, I couldn't deny Janice this opportunity. The day of the trip arrived, and both Jack and I were busy with work. We planned to meet at the airport, but my day ran later than expected, and Janice and I barely made it in time, arriving breathless and frazzled. But when we looked around, Jack and Charlotte were nowhere to be seen. Confusion turned to frustration. Where could they have gone? I tried calling Jack's phone, only to get a recorded message saying it was off or out of range. Worried, I approached the airline desk for help. Then a staff member approached me. Are you Amy Martin? She asked. Yes, I replied, startled. I was asked to give this to you, she said, handing me a small note. I unfolded it, feeling a pang of dread as I read Charlotte's scrawled words. It'll just be the two of us on this trip. If you can't be on time, we won't wait for you. Why don't you just camp out somewhere? Bye, Charlotte. My heart sank. Janice looked up at me with wide, anxious eyes. What's wrong, Mom? Trying to shield her from the truth, I forced a smile. Oh, it's nothing, sweetie. It looks like your dad and Grandma went ahead without us. I'm sorry, but it seems we can't go to Hawaii. But can't we get on another flight and go after them? She asked, hope gleaming in her eyes. I hesitated. The cost of a last-minute flight was more than I could afford. Yes, we can try, I replied, hoping my voice sounded convincing. Just then, a commotion nearby caught my attention. An elderly man collapsed a few steps in front of us. Instinctively, I rushed to his side, my nurse training kicking in. His breathing had stopped, and I quickly cleared his airway, finding it blocked by a bit of vomit. Please someone call an ambulance, I shouted, administering first aid. Paramedics arrived swiftly, and the man was taken to the hospital, where he regained consciousness. Later, he looked up at me and asked, Were you the one who saved me? Well, yes, I replied modestly, a mix of relief and pride filling my heart. I just did what anyone would do, I replied, modestly brushing off the praise. That's not true, Raymond said, a mix of relief and gratitude softening his face. Thank you so much. I thought I was done for. He introduced himself and insisted on showing his appreciation, though I assured him it was all in a day's work. After a few minutes of chatting, Raymond asked, Were you traveling somewhere? His question brought me back to the reality of our situation, and I wondered how best to explain the chaotic turn of events that led us here. Yes, we were supposed to catch a flight to Hawaii, I said, feeling a wave of disappointment. But we missed it. We were already running late because of my work schedule. Raymond's expression grew sympathetic. That's a shame. I bet your daughter was excited, he said, glancing at Janice. Why don't you just get another ticket? Embarrassed, I admitted, "The truth is, we can't really afford to buy another one right now." I gave him a small, sad smile, not expecting anything from the conversation. Raymond seemed to consider this for a moment, then nodded with resolve. "As a thank you for saving my life, let me buy your tickets. That way, you two can still make your trip." "Oh no, I couldn't accept that," I protested, but Raymond was already calling over an airline staff member. After a quick conversation on the phone, he returned, smiling. "If I don't thank you properly, I'll never rest easy," he insisted, half joking. Just then, the note from Jack and Charlotte fell from my pocket, slipping away unnoticed in the commotion. Thanks to Raymond's generosity and insistence, Janice and I soon found ourselves on a plane to Hawaii, comfortably seated in business class, an upgrade that made our journey even more enjoyable. When we landed, I realized I hadn't confirmed where Jack and Charlotte were staying, a nagging oversight as we collected our luggage. As we exited the terminal, a man approached us. "Hello, are you Amy and Janice?" he asked warmly. Yes, that's right," I replied, surprised. "Nice to meet you," he said, handing me a business card bearing the logo of a well-known logistics company, sparking my curiosity. "The chairman of our company wanted to make sure you were taken care of," he continued, smiling. My eyes widened. "The elderly man I helped, he's the chairman." The man nodded. "Yes, thank you very much for what you did for him." I was stunned. It hadn't even crossed my mind that Raymond, the kind man we'd helped at the airport, was the chairman of a major company. The realization left me a little dazed as he continued, "We'll be taking you both to your hotel now, as per the chairman's instructions. Please enjoy your trip to Hawaii." A sleek black limousine awaited us, and as we stepped outside, I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. I'd never been in such an elegant vehicle before, and I found myself checking my shoes, making sure they were clean before climbing in. Janice's eyes sparkled as she took in the plush, luxurious interior. "Wow, this is amazing," she exclaimed, her excitement infectious. As we drove through Hawaii's breathtaking landscapes, the views unfolding through the limousine windows seemed like scenes from a dream. Palm trees swayed against a perfect sky, and the air seemed to hum with that eternal summer feeling. After the chaotic start to our journey, I felt deeply grateful to have made it here, and Janice was captivated, her face pressed against the glass as she took in every detail. When we finally arrived at the Grand Hotel, its opulent exterior took my breath away. But as we approached the entrance, a sudden worry hit me. "Oh no, I didn't book a room," I murmured, concerned about the oversight. The man accompanying us quickly reassured me. "No need to worry. We've already reserved a room for you on the top floor." I hesitated. "But I don't have the money for this," I confessed, my anxiety returning. He smiled reassuringly. "It's all taken care of. The chairman insists." I was overwhelmed by Raymond's generosity, and the VIP treatment felt like stepping into a dream. When we entered the hotel and were shown to our room, it turned out to be a lavish suite with an expansive view of the ocean, its vast windows framing a spectacular sunset. It was as if the whole room was a luxurious retreat, more beautiful than anything I'd ever seen. Janice and I stood in awe, gazing out at the stunning scene, filled with gratitude for this unexpected kindness that had transformed our trip into an unforgettable adventure. During our stay, we were assigned a dedicated staff member who was always available to help with any need. Each meal was a work of art. On one memorable evening, they prepared an exquisite steak right before us, turning dinner into a culinary performance that left us speechless. After such a lavish meal, Janice and I wandered around the hotel lobby, admiring the decor, when we suddenly heard a commotion nearby. Drawn by the raised voices, we moved closer to see what was happening, and to my surprise, I saw my husband Jack and my mother-in-law Charlotte in a heated exchange with the hotel staff. Confused, I called out, "Hey, what are you both doing here?" They turned, equally shocked. "Amy, why are you here?" Jack asked, his voice tinged with confusion. "We came here as planned," I replied, feeling my own confusion rise. "But why did you send that harsh note? You were the one who suggested this trip." Jack glanced at Charlotte, as if searching for backup, but then faltered. "Well, you were late. It's your fault," he stammered, trying to justify. Anger and sadness welled up in me. Yes, we were late, but telling us to just camp out was uncalled for. That wasn't right. Charlotte stood by, unmoved, which only deepened my sense of betrayal. Turning back to the hotel staff, I asked, "What's going on here?" Jack looked frustrated as he explained, They won't let us check in. I don't understand why. Sensing we needed answers, I addressed the hotel staff member directly. Is there a problem? The staff member's tone turned serious. We were informed that these individuals abandoned our important guests, your daughter and yourself. As per our instructions, we're not permitted to offer them accommodations. In an instant, the pieces fell into place. Raymond's influence was clear. As the chairman of a major company and a man of strong principles, he'd evidently taken a protective stance toward us. Jack and Charlotte's faces reflected both shock and confusion as they began to understand the depth of Raymond's involvement. What is going on here? Jack muttered, looking both bewildered and uneasy. It's a long story, I explained, but essentially, Raymond's making it clear he won't tolerate what you did to us. This trip had taken an unexpected turn, revealing complexities in our relationships, and a surprising ally. Jack shook his head, clearly puzzled. Who even knows about all that? Reaching into my bag, I pulled out Raymond's business card, the one given to me when we arrived. Jack's face drained of color as he read the name. This is from a major client of mine, he stammered, his hands beginning to shake. Charlotte turned pale too. Are you saying you know the chairman of this company? Yes, I replied. I helped him when he collapsed at the airport, and to thank us he booked our flight and this hotel. Charlotte's face lost all color, and she seemed to sway on her feet. Mom, are you okay? Jack asked, reaching out to steady her. I approached cautiously, concerned despite the tension. He's in the same gym club as me, Raymond explained. I see him occasionally, and everyone there respects him. But what a coincidence this is. Charlotte was visibly shaken by the unexpected connection, while Jack simply nodded, stunned. Such a small world, he murmured, feeling the weight of it all. Before this encounter, I had no idea there was any link between Raymond and Charlotte, but when Raymond had discovered the note I dropped at the airport, it became clear. He picked it up and read it, his expression shifting to disbelief. Amy, what on earth is this? He'd asked, his voice mixing shock and disapproval. Hesitantly, I explained how Jack and Charlotte had left us behind. His reaction had been immediate. How horrible, unforgivable, he declared, his tone leaving no room for doubt. From then on, his actions reflected a clear stance on our situation. As Raymond pieced together the details, he asked, Is your mother-in-law's last name Martin? Charlotte Martin? Yes, that's her, I confirmed, still reeling from the series of revelations. Raymond nodded, saying he knew Charlotte from his gym and expressing his disbelief that she would abandon family. Turning back to Jack and Charlotte, I couldn't suppress a smirk at the irony. Well, since you two plan to go on this trip together, I guess Janice and I will just enjoy it on our own, I said. Charlotte, maybe you could camp out here for a night under the Hawaiian stars. How's that sound? That's terrible. You're the rudest person ever. They protested, clearly missing the irony of having their own words thrown back at them. They called me rude, yet it was their dismissive message that had started this. I chuckled, taking Janice's hand. Let's go, I said, leaving them behind as the hotel staff firmly turned them away. We don't have rooms for you both at this hotel, they were told, finally forced to leave. And so Janice and I enjoyed our trip, just the two of us. The bond between Janice and her father was nearly severed, and I felt no urgency to repair it. Raymond's kindness in making this vacation possible had turned what began as a troubling experience into a beautiful adventure, one that refreshed and delighted us both. When we returned home, we were full of gratitude and happy memories. Jack, however, returned looking exhausted and defeated. As it turned out, Raymond's influence extended further than I'd imagined. No hotel in Hawaii had been willing to take them in, leaving Jack and Charlotte to camp outdoors. Jack also faced repercussions at work when his boss informed him that Raymond's company was considering canceling their contract due to his behavior. Meanwhile, Charlotte's gym friends grew distant, treating her coldly enough that she eventually left the club altogether. Once dedicated to fitness, she now spent her days in front of the television, a shadow of her former self. This ordeal made it clear that our marriage was over. We decided to divorce, with Janice's custody naturally going to me. I didn't seek alimony or child support, confident in my ability to support her on my own. It all felt surreal, as if fate itself had guided these events. Being late to the airport that day had led me to meet Raymond, an acquaintance of Charlotte's, and that simple act of kindness had brought us an unforgettable vacation. Looking back, I felt no regrets. Jack's priorities had always clashed with mine, often putting Charlotte's needs above ours. Now, with Janice by my side, I felt complete. The joy she brought me outweighed any sorrow from the past, and together, we looked forward to a happy, fulfilling future. Just the two of us.